try to demo the bow drill, kind of explain how it's put together, and then the proper form, and see if we can get an ember and blow it to flame. So the bow drill versus the hand drill is a little bit easier because it's more mechanical. You're using a bow like this to create the friction you need from the spindle with a handhold and your fireboard. So there's 5 components, one of which, the primary one, is your cordage. This is a synthetic piece, and over here is organic. This is made of dog bane. We're going to use this one. So you've got one piece. This is the primary piece. Then you need like some sort of bendy sapling for your bow. You will need a spindle, like so, usually about your thumb width, and I like to have it just slightly longer than my thumb and pinky, like so, and as straight as you can get it, And let's see, you will need your fireboard. This already has a hole burned in it. We're just going to go one more down and make another one, or even across from it. So this is your fireboard, and you'll need a handhold. And your handhold can look like this, or this one you can see probably has a lot of different handholds already in it. And what I like to do when I make my pieces, and I'm going to get closer to the camera, is I like to make my pieces from a single log. Okay, as you can kind of see here. So I split it and split it. I want the fireboard to be about thumb width here, and one piece will be my handhold, so it cups my hand nicely, and then another piece can make another handhold, or I could split it down to make another fireboard, and then you get your fireboard. The idea is to get your fireboard as flat as possible. Okay, so that's how I like to do it. There's many different ways, many different variations, but if you have a single board and you have a nice cutting implement, then it's easier just to split it in thirds. So what we're going to do here is, first things first, we're going to prepare our spindle. And so I'm going to start, let's see, we'll use this one here. Okay, I'm not going to get into the types of wood. The concept is your fireboard should be hardwood, your spindle should be softer wood, and your sapling or your bow should be more flexible or still alive. I've had success using the same type of wood on each other, for example elm, and splitting it down and using all the pieces, handhold, fireboard, and spindle from elm. That seems to work well, which is a medium grade wood if you need a wood to try and practice with. The rule of thumb is if you can dent it with your nail, it's probably soft enough. If it's a hardwood, you can get a fire with it. I've done it. It just is a lot more energy for the output. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cutting tool, and I got a makeshift fireboard or cutting board here. And what I like to do is, if I have a stone or rock, I can abrade it. And what I want to do is basically make a pencil on both ends, or points on both ends. So I just like to kind of chop one side, chop another side, and then chop the fourth side, and then chop the third side, then chop the fourth side. And then I just kind of narrow the tip. This to me is the most expedient way to do it. You can whittle it if you have a really sharp tool, but for speed I like to just do it this way. That is, if you have something soft for your knife to go into. Otherwise you could whittle it if your blade is really sharp. So you want to point in on one side, and then I'm going to want to point in on the other side. Same deal. I want to flatten one end, and then flatten the other end, and then I want to flatten the third end, third side, and then flatten the fourth side. Okay, and then I just go ahead and start spinning it in my hand as I chop to basically make a pencil, like a pencil sharpening. like so. So that's kind of how I like to do it, and this looks about right. So your spindle wants to look like this. It's okay if they're even. I know this is going to be the end that's going to go in the handhold. I want it a little longer and pointier, and this end's going to go in the fireboard. The object is to keep the end that's going to go in the fireboard dry. Keep everything dry. Okay. So that's the spindle. And so now we are ready to burn a hole in our fireboard. And what I like to do is I just like to eyeball it and see about where. I'm going to do it on the other side here. See about where I need to put this in, and I can make a little X or mark with my nail as to where I'm going to take my tool and start the pilot hole. I'm going to do the same in my handhold. Okay. So I'm going to take my cutting tool, and in the place where I put my little X, my fingernail, I just want to start to drill a hole with my tool. Be very careful not to stab yourself. And the idea is to create enough of an indentation to create a seat for your spindle. Nice. Otherwise, it tends to pop out, and it's frustrating and annoying, and you get your momentum going. It just kind of sucks. So I want an indentation here. I don't know if you can see that, but I want an indentation here. And then I got a handhold. Let's see, there's one that's already been used. There's another. I'm going to make another hole in this handhold here. Again, I just want to start just drilling a hole with my cutting tool. All of this can be done with stone tools. It just takes time. Modern tools increase speed. If you're using bone or if you're using stone, you can do the same things. You just got to slow down your pace. You're just not going to do it as fast. And you may want to have multiple stone tools to do it with, because stone tools get dull much more quicker. And there's going to be a lot of abrading with stone tools, but they're pretty good for drilling. So I want to drill my hole here, and then always should resheath your cutting tool, set it aside so there's no accidents. And then I got my spindle. I want to make sure it's going to sit up in there. If not, I may have to sharpen this a little bit. So I think this will sit up in there. I may touch it up a bit. And then this end goes into the fireboard. Make sure that it's in there. Now, for success, you have to touch up your tools. So I like to take my cutting tool and just kind of sharpen everything up. So you get a nice point on one side and a nice point on the other. Okay, set that aside there. Sheath cutting tool. So now, what I like to do is I like to protect. Right now, this is early spring and the ground is quite moist, and so I like to protect my fire making surface from moisture by having a piece of bark. There's plenty of pieces of bark here lying around. I have my buckskin bag here that I like to use, and I've found that a nice flat surface is the best to use, work on, and also a hard surface. So if you have a rock to work on, that's even better. This is softer ground, so we have to compensate for that. Usually you can put a piece of bark underneath here or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to burn my hole first. Most people make the mistake of cutting the notch and then trying to burn their hole into the notch. That if you get success that way, fine, you get success that way. What can tend to happen is that the spindle slips out. So it's better to make the seat first and then cut your notch into there, like that, like so. So we're about ready to do this. I'm going to fasten my cordage, and this is dog bane cordage here. And I've doubled it up, tripled it up, and it's about a 1/4 of an inch in diameter. And what I like to do is just kind of double it up. On my bow here, I have kind of a nice little hook or Y. You can cut one in. This happened to be natural. There's all kinds of ways you can fasten this on there. There's no correct, proper way to do it. I like for expediency. I like for speed. I'm twisting this slightly. And then I want a nice bend in this. So I want to just kind of bend. I got kind of a seat there. Or wrap around a few times. Many people try to make knots and stuff. We're going to be adjusting this as this goes. So I don't really bother with making knots because you're going to have to adjust it. Okay. So what we've got going on here, I like to give it a little stretch, test my knot, my fastener here, secure this a little bit more securely. And the problem with natural cordage is they can break. That's not a big deal if you have plenty of resources and you know how to make it. You just go ahead and make one. It just slows your process down. I'm going to cut some of these stragglers off because it's about to break. I've been using this, so if it breaks, we'll just, no big deal. We'll just switch to the synthetic. This is just a demo. So here, but I just kind of want to show you that you can use natural fibers to do this. So again, here's our spindle. The way to get this in is tricky. I've tried to teach people many times. You just have to play with it. So this is the end. I'm going to oil it up with oil on the side of my nose, oil on the scalp. Some people use ear wax and don't stick it in your ear. Don't stick it in your ear. Take your finger and stick it on the side or in the handhold. So the end I want down. I want to go down and up. So I'm going to take this, set it in here, pull this tight, and I want it to snap or pop. I'm going to move my face so that if this breaks, I don't want the splinters going in my face. And then if it pops in, this is how we want. Right now it's going to helicopter out if I let it go. Okay, so we're about ready to do this. So let's see, let me get my handhold. Just created one. Where did I put it? It's around here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we want to do the proper form is. Okay, I want to rest my foot next to the hole, not on it. I want to set my spindle into the divot that I started. And I want to rest my base of my thumb on my shin for stability. So take this here, set that in the hole we started, and then gently get it to going. Oops, and that will happen. Okay. Not a big deal. Get this going. The key is to this is to eliminate as much distraction as possible. So that's going to happen. No big deal. Just reset it in. Make sure your surface is flat. And especially when you're starting out, it's going to pop out like that. Not a big deal. Slowly. I want a smooth horizontal motion. I don't want up and down. Smooth, straight. Okay, it looks like our string is going to start wearing out, and that's fine. We got backup, but it held up pretty good to burn our hole. So this is what you want first. Burn the hole first. Then we're going to cut a V just on the inside. The idea is to cut shavings off of your spindle. Okay, so I'm going to start cutting this in. And the way I like to do it is I like to hack at it. This is pretty thick. I like to do controlled hacking. It works faster. You can whittle it if you want. If you happen to have stone tools, you can abrade it in. It just takes longer.